The movie begins with the introduction of a lady named Alita, who is a renowned professor and frequently gives lectures on her studies. Even today, she is heading to Istanbul for a lecture. When Alita arrives at the airport, a dwarf man, who appears quite strange, suddenly approaches her. He urges Alita to come with him, and she finds the entire situation very unsettling. As Alita starts moving towards him, she turns around only to find that the dwarf man has disappeared. Choosing to ignore the peculiar incident, Alita meets her friend at the airport and gets into the car. On the way, she tells her friend about the odd encounter with the dwarf man, but none of her friends had seen him with her. Alita becomes frightened and insists that he was really with her. Her friend merely laughs and jokingly suggests that she must have seen a Ginn. They both dismiss the event with a chuckle. Now, Alita attends her seminar where she and her friend deliver a lecture on world disaster. During the talk, Alita spots a strange man in the audience, wearing a costume. Then, without warning, the man attacks Alita, opening his mouth wide and lunging towards her. Alita becomes terrified and falls unconscious on the spot. Her friends quickly carry her to her room, and it is revealed that all of this was a figment of Alita's imagination. She often imagines things that are not real, a condition that has been worsening and has left her exhausted. Every day, her struggle with this mysterious ailment continues to escalate. The next day, Alita and her friends set out to explore Istanbul. They venture into a shop filled with many antique pieces. Among them, Alita's eye is caught by a small bottle, which she finds intriguing. She inquires about it, and the shopkeeper explains that it's a very old piece and shares a strange story that blood often emerges from the bottle. Fascinated by this tale and eager to uncover its mystery, Alita purchases the bottle. Returning to the hotel, Alita takes a shower and then turns her attention to the newly acquired bottle. As she begins to clean it, she removes the cap, and suddenly a surge of energy bursts forth. To her astonishment, she realizes that it is a Ginn. The Ginn is so massive that it fills the entire room. At first, Alita assumes that this is another figment of her imagination, but after a moment, she understands that the Ginn is indeed real. The Ginn reassures her of its authenticity and then informs Alita that she can ask for any 3 wishes. Glancing around the room, the Ginn's eyes land on a laptop where a video of Einstein is playing. Misunderstanding, the Ginn thinks that Alita might be a witch who has trapped Einstein inside this box. Alita explains that it's merely an electronic device, working through the electromagnetic field, a concept the Ginn is already familiar with, as it itself is made of the electromagnetic field. Curiously, the Ginn asks Alita why she didn't react with fear upon seeing it, as most people do. Alita reveals that she has a condition where she imagines things. As a child, she lost her family in an accident and was left alone with no friends. To cope, she began imagining a boy whom she could summon or dismiss at will. As she grew older, she became discontented with the imaginary boy and abandoned him, but her imagination had grown strong. The Ginn is touched by Alita's story, and to her surprise, it takes on a normal human form. Alita, still curious, asks the Ginn how it came to be trapped in the bottle. The Ginn reveals that it has been locked in the bottle for many years, a consequence of fulfilling people's wishes. It goes on to explain that it was once human and was the cousin of Queen Sheba. Upon hearing this, Alita realizes that the Ginn is 3,000 years old. The Ginn continues, sharing that it and Sheba were in love. Alita, recalling her history, interjects that according to the records, Sheba's lover was King Solomon. The Ginn confirms this, elaborating that Solomon was infatuated with Sheba and wanted her for himself, leading him to visit her kingdom. The Ginn disapproved of this relationship, but Solomon had brought an instrument that enchanted Sheba, making her fall in love with him. Solomon was actually a magician who had warned Sheba to stay away from him, but his spell had already influenced her. As Solomon and Sheba grew closer, Solomon discerned the connection between Sheba and the Ginn. He used his magic to trap the Ginn in a bottle, casting it out of the fort and into the water, where it remained trapped for 2,500 years, longing for freedom. Now, Alita is faced with a decision to make 3 wishes, and she asks the Ginn for its thoughts on what a woman's heart desires. The Ginn confesses ignorance on the matter and inquires if Alita has ever been in love. Alita admits that she once loved a boy named Jack, but he betrayed her by falling for another girl. She left him, and he never found happiness afterward. The Ginn offers to grant her happiness if she uses her 3 wishes, but Alita is hesitant. She explains, "I've read many stories about Jinns, and those who ask for wishes often end up with tragic consequences. I don't want to find myself in the same situation." Her skepticism hangs in the air, leaving her uncertain of what to do next. The Ginn assures Alita that nothing bad will happen to her and promises to fulfill her 3 wishes without any hidden consequences. Alita then asks what would happen if she refuses to make a wish, causing the Ginn to become distressed. From its reaction, Alita realizes that she must make a wish, but she is unsure what to ask for. Sensing her hesitation, the Ginn offers to tell her a story from the future, hoping it might clarify what she wants. The Ginn begins, explaining that while trapped underwater, its bottle had turned into a stone. Eventually, a man found the stone and placed it on the wall of a palace. One day, a girl named Ghoul climbed that wall to catch a glimpse of her love, Mustafa, but fell and discovered the stone, which revealed the bottle inside. She freed the Ginn and, upon seeing it, fainted. When she awoke, the Ginn asked for her wishes. Ghoul wished to marry Mustafa, who was the son of Suleiman and heir to the throne. The Ginn made her beautiful and cast a spell on Mustafa, causing him to fall in love with her. Later, Ghoul asked for her second wish, to become the mother of Mustafa's child. However, Suleiman's wife was against Mustafa, as he was her stepson, and she plotted to make her own son king. She persuaded Suleiman to kill Mustafa. Upon learning this, the Ginn rushed to Ghoul, urging her to make her third wish to free herself. But Ghoul, content with her love and her life, claimed she needed nothing more. The Ginn then revealed the tragic news that Suleiman had killed Mustafa. Grief-stricken, Ghoul went mad, wandering the palace until soldiers captured her and threw her into the water. The Ginn, witnessing her fate, dove into the water to save her, but it was too late. Ghoul was dead, and her 3 wishes had gone unfulfilled. This failure left the Ginn trapped in the palace, unable to be free until someone opened the bottle once more. As the Ginn concludes its tale, the room is filled with a heavy silence, both Alita and the Ginn reflecting on the story and its implications for their own situation. A century passes, and the Ginn tries to communicate with many people, but no one can sense its presence. Years later, Prince Murad begins to feel the Ginn's presence. The Ginn guides Murad to the place where its bottle is hidden, but before he can retrieve it, Murad's mother, Kayusam, and his brother, Ibrahim, intervene, whisking him away. At the age of 14, Murad is crowned king following the death of his father, Ahmed. As he grows older, Murad becomes weary of the constant wars and rebellions surrounding him, and his heart remains restless. He continues to feel the Ginn's presence, contrasting with his brother Ibrahim, who has grown fat and indulgent, surrounding himself with equally corpulent servants. Murad's disdain for his brother is apparent. Murad's only solace is a special storyteller who shares tales that allow the Ginn to feel a connection with Murad. However, after the storyteller's death, Murad's loneliness drives him to madness. Consequently, his mother removes him from the throne and crowns Ibrahim. One day, one of Ibrahim's hefty servants is bathing near the spot where the Ginn's bottle is concealed. As she sits on the hidden stone containing the bottle, her weight causes it to break, and the Ginn's bottle emerges. In her terror, she frees the Ginn, who immediately asks for her 3 wishes. Too frightened to think, she demands the Ginn return to the bottle, a wish the Ginn must obey. She then throws the bottle into the water. The Ginn recounts this tale to Alita, explaining that its imprisonment by Solomon has left it yearning to fulfill someone's 3 wishes so that it can finally be free. However, Alita remains uncertain about what to wish for. Sensing her indecision, the Ginn offers to tell another story. It speaks of a girl named Zephyr who, at the age of 12, was married off to an old trader. One day, the trader discovered the bottle inside a fish's stomach, and he gave it to Zephyr as a gift. Upon receiving the bottle, Zephyr freed the Ginn. For her first wish, she asked for a wealth of knowledge, as she had a voracious appetite for learning. Once she acquired this knowledge, she began to invent things far ahead of her time, displaying genius, level intellect. But her hunger for knowledge kept growing. Her second wish was for the ability to solve every mathematical problem, enabling her to understand the electromagnetic field. The Ginn explained to her that while humans are made of clay, jinns are formed from the electromagnetic field. Zephyr then began to convert everything into electromagnetic energy, and the Ginn, witnessing her relentless pursuit of knowledge, fell in love with her. Yet Zephyr was poised to make her final wish. She wanted even more knowledge from the Ginn. However, fulfilling this wish would free the Ginn, taking it away from her, and she did not want that. In response, the Ginn stopped Zephyr from making her last wish, leading to tensions between them. Displeased with Zephyr's behavior, the Ginn eventually chose to lock itself back in the bottle. After many centuries in the bottle, the Ginn met Alita. Upon hearing this story, Alita realized what she wanted, and she made her first wish. She told the Ginn that she had seen its love for Sheba and Zephyr in the stories and wanted the Ginn to love her as much. Alita believed that a woman's heart always desires love. The Ginn accepted the wish, and they kissed, beginning a life together that filled the void of Alita's loneliness. A few days later, Alita informed the Ginn that she would be returning to London. Then, at the airport, we see that Alita planned to take the Ginn in a bottle with her to London. During the security check, she was afraid to pass the bottle through the scanner, fearing that someone might discover its secret. But the bottle appeared ordinary on the machine's display, and Alita continued to London with the Ginn. Upon arrival, the Ginn observed the environment, commenting on the unusually high electromagnetic field, which was altering its energy. In contrast to Istanbul, London's electromagnetic field was different, and the Ginn found itself hearing the signals from every TV and mobile phone. This bombardment began to affect its body, causing Alita to become concerned for its well-being. The Ginn, however, reassured her that it would gradually adapt to these new surroundings. Weeks passed, and the two spent time together, but the Ginn's condition continued to deteriorate. One day, Alita discovered the Ginn sleeping in the basement, its body's particles separating, altered by the electromagnetic field. The Ginn tells Alita that he loves her and wants to stay with her. Alita replies that she loves him deeply as well, but she cannot keep him in this condition for her own happiness. With a heavy heart, she makes her third and final wish, that the Ginn should be free and return to his own world. The Ginn's bottle shatters, and they spend a few last poignant moments together before the Ginn gradually fades away. Afterwards, Alita stores the Ginn's belongings in the storeroom. The scene then shifts to 3 years later, where Alita is seen sitting in a garden. A nearby couple prompts her to remember her Ginn lover, and it's revealed that she has written a book in his memory, titled 3,000 Years of Longing. As Alita begins to walk away from the garden, she spots the Ginn who has come to meet her. They embrace and start to walk together. In a voiceover, Alita explains that their love for each other is so strong that the Ginn often comes to visit her in her world. With this tender reunion, the movie comes to a close.